Great. Give me a moment. Trying to navigate out here. Let's see. There we go. All right, let me move some things around here. All right, give me a second here so you guys can see. Just move some of these different screen places. All right, so I just want to say again, everybody, we're just starting now. Good morning. Thank you so much for attending the user management session this morning. Benita, the lovely and talented Benita, is recording this session. It will be available for playback. You will also, after the meeting has concluded, you will receive a link to the recording and also additional reference material. I'm going to send that out by email after the rendering of the video is available. This training is designed for entity eVA security officers, but we have some additional folks who are interested in it. So I've invited them to join us. So you might see some more familiar names and maybe some faces who are not security officers. I'm really excited that this day is here, that I get the chance to walk through user management on the new platform with you to discuss the policy and procedures related to using it. And I'm excited to show you how much easier it is on the new platform. There's really just 4 main tabs in the user account to manage, which is a lot less than what we had before. So it is a lot easier. I've worked with almost all of you individually, and I believe this will come quickly to you, just like it did for me. This was really easy for me to learn. It's very intuitive. I want to also remind you that you are not alone. If you have any questions about how to use this, if you need assistance, contact myself. I will work with you. I also have a backup, Sherry Mickens Green, who is on this call, can also assist you. We also have your DPS account executives who can help you. And they can also, if you are really stuck, need some help, they can process a request for you. So you are not alone. We've got a lot of resources here for you. What I'd like to do today is if you would hold questions until the end. Just hold them from the chat. We will have plenty of time for questions at the end. So if you'd like to write them down, and we will follow up at the end with questions. Also during this session, you may see me turning back and forth, looking at my notes. There's just a lot of information I want to share with you, and I don't want to miss any areas or topics. So this morning, let's talk about the overview, what we are doing. I'm going to talk about the plan for the rollout, resources, what is changing in the user management program, what is not changing. I'm going to go through a demo. Really excited to do this for you. We're going to look at how to browse users, create, edit, deactivate, and then download user data from the user interface. And then at the end, we will have questions. So let's move on to the plan. Starting day 1 in production, you will have access to user management for your organizations, or for some of you, you manage more than one. You will have access to all of your organizations, that parent-child structure. Starting tomorrow morning, you will have access to user management in the training environment. I've referenced previously an email that I'm going to send out, and that email will contain a link to the training environment and how you will get logged in, what user credentials you will use. Let's move on to resources. So as of today, we have in the Report and Resource Center, under security documents, we have listed out a lot of security references, the policy and procedures and forms. That is also going to be available at Go Live for you. So for example, the policy and standards will be published. They are also going to be sent out. They are currently in a review cycle. They're going to be sent out in a separate email after today, probably in a week or two. Again, They are in their normal review cycle, but they are written. As part of the email that I send to you with the video link from today, I will also send you quick steps. One to create users, one to edit, one to deactivate, delete users. I'm also going to send you a user request form in a fillable PDF format. There will be one to create, another one to edit, another one to deactivate. I'm also going to send you reference material for internal profiles. It's going to give you the descriptions. Same thing for approval profiles, account statuses, another one for report roles. And then I put together some additional information on how to handle procurements for users in different account statuses. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And that's really to help you. We are uh, no longer going to be using custodial care. Super exciting. We have a more modern uh, procedure to handle purchase orders for folks who have left your organization. Really excited to talk to you about that a little bit later. Also going to show you how to, or give you a guide that's going to give you some steps telling you where to find certain types of data for users, and also what type of profile has to have that information. So it's really just an additional resource. We will also have at a later date a user management asset that is currently under review in beta review by InfoPro and CGI. So that's also going to be housed out in the Report and Resource Center. Video links I'm going to send out to you as well in the email. Video link for today's training session. There's also a short video on how to download and export data from the user interface. Really helpful, really quick. It's a neat option that we now have available. So I really want to make sure you guys take advantage of that. And then also another resource is eVA Global Security. Just want to always remind you, I'm here, Sherry's here for you, and the account executives are here for you. You have a lot of support, reference material, and folks that are here for you. Let's dig in. Let's start talking about what's going on, what's changing. So the responsibilities of eVA security officers, procurement directors, eVA leads, and account executives, the responsibilities aren't changing. The policies and procedures that you're following today are going to be the same in the new platform. If you will, the analogy I like to use is that the current platform that we're on now is a car. It's a little bit of an older car. The new platform is a wonderful brand new car. We're going to move to a brand new car, but the rules of the road do not change just because we've moved to a new car. So I want you to keep that in mind for the eVA security program and for user management, is that the rules are not changing. So what you're responsible for today is what you're going to be responsible for on the new platform. Advanced level entities, which the security officers on this meeting who have been invited to this meeting are advanced level. You're still managing your users. And then another area, Logi roles, the Report and Resource Center roles, those are not changing. We're bringing that application over. So those roles are going to be staying the same. The approval roles, as far as what you have today, will be in the system, the new platform. So approval roles. We are doing a little change to the standard naming convention, but the true heart of that role is staying the same. So that's what is not changing. That's what we're bringing over. What is changing, the exciting new pieces that we are going to have now available. Let's talk about terminology. We're going to have some new terminology. Today, we talk about clients and entities. Now that's going to be called organization. Today, you've heard about BSO, by sense org or department. That is a site. So that will be replaced by site. Approval roles will now be approval profiles. And then internal profiles are new, and this is what we're using to grant users access to the different tabs in the new platform. So that's our new terminology. We also have some new account statuses. Blocked is what we're going to use for a temporary leave of absence. So if somebody is out on a short-term medical leave, you can put their account in blocked. This is different than if somebody has unsuccessful login attempts. That is on the login side. That is going to be separate. That's a separate status. So don't get confused with the two. We're going to have deleted. That is what we're going to move users to when they have separated from your organization. Disabled is now going to be where a user has been deactivated or moved to this status after 90 days of inactivity. So we've got these great additional statuses for accounts. One of the things I'm really excited to share with you today is custodial care has gone away. That was kind of a cumbersome activity. We are able to now, this is a more flexible tool. We are able to reassign documents and procurements in the application. I have put together a reference guide on the type of either a procurement or a document in the process that actually users go in themselves and how they reassign documents to themselves. So I put that together. If you have any questions after reading that document, please reach out to me. This is also really exciting. Each user now has one login. Goes again with the custodial care. This platform is much more flexible. We are now able to assign a user to multiple organizations, also sites as well, which as we just learned that is BSOs. And users are able to access purchase orders created by other users. So that's really exciting. Another really exciting feature is that the acceptable use form is going to be part of the login process. For those of you who have been testing recently, when you log in for the first time, you are presented with the acceptable use form. This is how it will be day one in production. There's going to be a report that's going to come out that's going to show you when you can run it to see when a user has accepted that form. There's going to be a separate training that will be held after that report is made available. The user request form is now going to be a fillable PDF form. It's going to be routed by email. It's not going to be in the system. It's going to be routed outside, and I have included 3 fillable PDF forms. Again, one to create, one to edit, and one to deactivate, delete. And I've included that form, those forms in the email I'm going to send to you after this meeting concludes. So let's talk about a little bit more about roles. Ariba roles, also email eForm roles with permissions will convert, but no longer have permissions assigned. For example, the eVA query all, the eVA create requisitions, roles related to eForms. You will see them, they're converting. We will clean them up at a later date, but they will not have permissions. Instead, we're going to use the approval profiles and internal profiles to grant access that these roles would have had in the Ariba platform. I've mentioned previously, Ariba roles no longer have the client ID. So for example, you may see today in the platform A194 cost code approver 609. In the new platform, which is much smarter, we have been able to reduce the number of roles that we have, and you would see cost code approver 609. So what the system does is first filters by the client and then looks at roles assigned to approval profiles. So it works a lot smarter. So we don't have to have all these duplicate roles. So it's really an exciting new feature. We have a little bit of a change for Go Live. We have some of the security reports are still under construction. At Go Live, we're going to use the user interface to export data, and I'm going to show you that as part of the demo this morning. Once the reports are available, there will be a separate training. The password reset option is also changing. Right now, we have two ways. We either have the user do a manual or a automated password reset where they enter in their username, email address, and they're sent out a link to a password reset. We're pretty much going to keep that 100% for the new platform. We will no longer be doing the manual password resets. For some reason, there's an issue with the user receiving the email or and they're not able to access the account, please reach out to me. I will research it. And I do have an option to get passwords uh, manually reset. So we do have a, a second procedure in place if for some reason they do not get the password reset email. I'm going to talk to you about when we create users now, we have two new shortcuts that are available. One is a template. We have two new shortcuts. I'll just back up a moment. Two new shortcuts. We have for creating a user, one is a template and one is a duplicate. So I want to talk about template. For in the beginning, as we're still kind of learning here, maybe as you guys are entering in the training environment and doing some testing, the template, we are going to wait to use that. What happens when you use a template is that the template is applied to all the users that are selected. And when you need to edit, for example, an internal profile, you need to add that. It is applied to all of the users in the template. You are not able to individually modify users if a template is applied. So it's neat, but as we know, each user is slightly different. So as we roll this out, I'd really like you to, and what I recommend is doing a duplicate. So for example, if you found my account, you did a copy of it, did the duplicate, later on, you're able to edit all fields, including internal profiles, so it doesn't lock those down. So I recommend that duplicate user option. Really nice feature as well that we now have is that all users will have access to the Report and Resource Center, also known as Logi. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you that in the demo. A note about bulk loads that are used for mass user updates. Those are now going to be converted. They're called ETLs. At Go Live, if you need any mass updates, please reach out to your assigned GPS account executive for processing. This application will be rolled out to field users after Go Live. Once it is available, I will be holding a separate training to go over the specific process. Well, I've talked a lot about what's going on. Let's actually go in and do a demo. Let's go in and let's start looking at this information. So I've logged into, it's actually eVA UAT. I'm going into manage and I'm going into users. This is what we're going to focus on. Users at a later date, we will go into the ETL console. We will also go into contacts. You have the option here to look at addresses, and then header 1 and header 2, these will be removed from your access. So today we're going to look at manage users. Great. So what we have is I have a user who has access to the Department of General Services as a user management internal profile. So you would have an internal profile of user management, And you would have that for your organization or organizations, depending on what you have today. Right now, you can do a keyword search for the user. You could do the username, contact, email address, first name, last name. You can filter by the internal profile. So these are different internal profiles we have available. I have attached to the email I'm going to send you out after the training a list of the internal profiles and the associated definition. Once you've completed those two fields, you can click search and it will return your search results. So for example, let's do user management, excuse me, and I did a search. So this is bringing back all the users that have user management. So this is kind of a basic search. As you can see here, we have some filters. I can click off active and I will not be able to deselect limit to my organization. So this is only going to show me the organizations that I have access to. We also have over here a filter, and I'm going to pin this so it sits here for a second. And we have, this is what I call more of the advanced search. So I can search from the different types of active. These are import would be users that have come in through a ETL process. Then we have the active, blocked, disabled, or deleted. We have, again, organization is blocked out. If you end up using a template, you can search from there. But what's nice is this feature is going to give you a way to generate expenditure limit approvers. If I selected a user and ran this report, it would show me who Alexis, who she is listed as the expenditure limit approver for the users. Same thing for quick quote as well. Quick quote as well. I would select a user and see if they are listed as the quick quote approver for another user. And then also I can select approval roles as well, which are now called approval profiles, and see what profiles are assigned to which users. So we do have these different search options, a more advanced search option. To have it so it's pinned and always showing, you just click on this little thumbtack here. To remove it, you just take that away. So let's go ahead and let's start in with the create new user. Let's go into the demo right now. All right, so this is now our landing page, if you will, for creating a new user. As you can see here, we have the left navigation that we had before, just really nice, and we're going to walk through that as well. And then we have here some of our personal information for the user, the identity. So let's start filling this out. So under the user control tab, we have the option of expanding it so you can see the labels or just the icons. This is where after you create the user, it will say the user's name. We're following the same naming convention. First initial, the first name, up to 6 digits of the last name, and then a numerical value following to make it unique. For here, we will always have users set to single sign-on. Now, what we do is we have another application that is added to eVA that manages all of our users, buyers, and vendors. So it is sending as single sign-on over to that application. And we'll talk about that, and it will be referenced in different parts of this training. So as we move right, if you're going to use a template or apply a template, you would select that from the list. But we will let's wait a little bit until we start really using that. We are not going to be doing any of the external profiles. That will be going away at some point. This area over here, this Alt 0 sync, that is the application I'm referring to. And so we need to see that a user is created and updated for them to be able to log in. So once we do click the save, these check boxes will be filled in and as well as this last sync date. So this is information about the user account that we created being sent over to that uh, authentication piece application for the user to log in. If we scroll down here, we have some fields related to the identity. The title field is optional. The first name, mandatory, right? Last name. And as you can see, the eyes are giving you some additional information. You can hover over them. The email address. And I am making a unique one because only one email address per user. The internal identifier, this is a familiar field for the community college users. This is the 9-digit employee ID. So again, this is just for the community college users. Position, you can bypass. We're not going to use that. Same thing as expense note and daily working time. We will default to active. You can, it's not required, but we should put a phone number in here. And from here, you can also put a cell phone number and a fax. It's nice that we now have these options for the cell phone. And then the internal profiles. So we will go ahead, I'll just give just a real small little snippet of what each one does. If this user is going to do central receiving, we would grant them access. If they were going to do data administrator, read only. So this is really, they're just going into the user interface and they're just going to pull out data so they can see cost codes that are in eVA and addresses, information like that that was traditional under the eVA setup report. We could grant that. Every user is going to get the employee internal profile. This really gives them access to some basic features and to view requisitions. From here, if the user, we would give them either one of these three options below, just one. The requisitioner, basically, if they're going to create requisitions, we would give them that. If they are going to create requisitions and, for example, really kind of old, current platform terminology, quick quotes, we would give them small. If they are going to create high dollar, the RFPs, IFBs, we would give them sealed sourcing. Now, you do not have to give them all three because in small sourcing, the user also has requisitioner, and in sealed sourcing, you have the requisitioner and small purchase sourcing internal profile built into the sealed sourcing. This user would like to do view user management, download and export user data. They can have the read only. So these are the short definitions of internal profiles. Again, I put together a reference sheet that is attached to the email I will send after this meeting concludes. So let's say I'll just give requisitioner right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to the org parameter page. And this is really exciting. This is a neat feature. So now we have some trees here. And so I'm just expanding them for this view. And so what you see here is the organization. And then you see all of these BSOs below, which are sites. And so here, this is where we can control the view that the user has of requisitions and purchase orders, and also being able to create requisitions. So if I wanted this user to be able to create requisitions based on the workflow for this BSO, I would assign them this BSO. If I want them to view purchase orders as well, I would assign this BSO as well. If I want them to be able to view purchase orders for all of DGS, Department of General Services, I would click on the finger here at the top high level client level, And then, as you can see, each of these boxes are checked. So these users are able to view purchase orders for any of these created by users in any of these BSOs. They are also able, when they create a requisition, they have the option to select this BSO on the requisition and create a requisition. Now let's talk about, I'm sure you see some other checkboxes here. So from here, what I'd like you to do in this tree is at every break in the tree or every branch, just put a check. Do not click on the little finger, just a click. And what this does is it will give the user access to contracts that are created just for Department of General Services or created for the secretarial group of administration or ones eVA wide. And so this is why we put just a check, not clicking on the finger and giving access to everything under it, just the checkbox here. At this stage of the game, I would like you to click save. And that's going to save what we've done to date. You can see here, we've got 77 different areas checked. Now let's move on to the user preferences. And here we have some information, just kind of some general information about default country, language. It's really kind of system setup, and that's grayed out. What's important here, the approval profiles. This is where, if you remember the email in the email section or Rebus section of the user profile, this is where we are putting in approval roles. So if I have the cost code 609, I'm just entering this there. Actually, cost code approver. There, we've got one as an example. We can, what's nice is you can just highlight. So if I have cost code approver 20601, I can just enter it in here. As you can see, we no longer have that. We no longer need the agency ID, because when the requisition is created, it looks first at the user's assignment in that org perimeter, the organization, and then it's going to look for roles. So it's already filtering out other organizations. This is a much smarter way of managing roles. So that's how you can add. And then if you needed to delete, you just click on the trash can. Next, we're going to set the main organization, which is really going to be the default that's on the requisition. So that's, again, this is just a default. We're going to bypass delivery place. We're going to select the ship to default as well. Actually, let's see here. That's in there. All right, so there is not an address loaded. So we will, but you would have an address loaded that would say ship to and the bill to, and you would select that just like we do today at the user level. We select the ship to, that's a default. At the bill to, we set a default as well. This next area down here is really for when you edit an account. So each user, just like today, has the option to delegate their approval authority when they go out on holiday. And so just like today, we know sometimes people have unexpected leave or they forget to do it, just human nature. But now we have this really awesome way to delegate it for them. So we would simply, this is an edit and kind of jumping ahead, we would select the user, we select the from and to date. What's awesome is we can backdate this now. So if I was actually out of office starting on the 1st, you just get a notice today that I have been out, my requisitions are stuck, you can backdate this to the 1st. So I'm just putting that in here. Really exciting. Private access, we're really not going to use this for right now, but it gives access to not just delegate approvals, but access to other procurements and documents. So We got a little sidetracked here, but I'm so excited about this. I wanted to share it with you right now. So this should look familiar. The expenditure limit. The expenditure limit, we're going to look at approver. And so if this is my account, anything I create will go to Alexis. And then again, here's the dollar amount, just like we have today. So anything over $0 that I create goes to Alexis. And I put one too many zero. There we go. So quick quote management, just like today, if I need user requires a quick quote approver, then again, I would select my approver from the drop-down list. As you can see for both of these, it is requiring a user. It is no longer a role for the expenditure limit. It has to be a user. And then for quick quote, it is no longer based on that BSO department. Instead, I'm selecting a user, which makes life a little bit easier here as well and more specific. So now we're going to go down to subscriptions. These are different areas of notifications that you can turn off and on for the user. At Go Live, we're really not going to manage this. We're going to let the users manage this themselves. Here you see linked users. This is not going to be available in production. This is just something in our testing and training that makes life easier to navigate. Approval escalations, we're not going to use that at Go Live. Excuse me. A little bit later on down the road, we will go ahead and select that. So I'm actually going to scroll up here and I'm going to change the department. Let's see, I'm going to save and I'm going to save this in the main organization. I like to save and then I'll get my ship to and then my bill to defaults. Kind of what we have today. I'm going to click save again. Oops. Let's go down now to the Logi tab. This is an application we're bringing over. This is going to look very familiar to you. The organization, this is set to that main organization. The entity access. So if I have just one client, I'm going to enter in that client ID. If I have multiples, if you're with the Department of Corrections, for example, or with the community colleges, this is where you come in and add those additional entities. Report output, this is the row limit at 5K. It's been a standard. Status, this is really just once we click save, it's going to say synced and valid. And so if there's any problems with Logi access, you could come here and if it said not synced and deleted, then you know that there was something going on. We have here, let me get down, let me move this down to the bottom of the page. We have the standard roles. These look familiar. Upon create, you can give these users these 3 additional roles. Additional roles can be found below the agency security. As you know, that's something I give out to only security officers. The audit and eVA setup, those are other roles that can be assigned to users. The nice thing about all the report roles is that they start with the R. You need to do scheduler or other roles, they are down here as well. For you folks out in the field, when granting any other roles, if you could reach out to your account executive first to make sure that there is no additional training needed or other forms. Most of these other roles in the schedule will need some of those. So please reach out to your account executive or myself for that additional guidance. Once I've enabled Logi, which for the average user, we're just going to add the entity access. The standard roles are defaulted. We're going to come here and click save. And then we will get another message. Let's see. There, upon save. If there is also an option when editing a user that you have to, there would be a Logi access sync. We're going to go over that in a moment. There's another button that you'll have to click. But for this initial creating of the user, you do not have to do that. So let's go back over to user control. And now we see this user's username. Awesome. It's in here as well. The auth sync, this has not been updated. A job runs every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes it will pick up um, and update the user in that application. So if you would like to, we can click on this plus sign and we have a basic email crafted for you to, you could make some changes, add some additional information, but this will send a notification out to the user saying, uh, you know, uh, first there's an email that's coming from here that's going to let them know that an account has been created. This is how they can go in, reset their password, and log into the account. So there is a notification just from the application itself, which is a great new feature. No more separate going to your emails, sending out separate correspondences. So it's a really nice little feature that we have in here. So let's go back. Let's go back. I just want to show you one other thing here. So let's go back to manage users. I want to show you if I wanted to copy a user, I'm going to search for them. I'm just going to go in and click on this little pencil icon. And there is an option, I'm not sure why it's not showing today, but should be right here that says duplicate user. So that option is an option that I've talked about as for the shortcut. So let's go back to users and let's talk about editing. So you can search for user keyword, also filter by profile. We can come in, do the click on the pencil icon, and I want to show you now we have some information. This is familiar, the last connection with the date, time, IP address, and then we have some tracking as well. So showing you who modified it and when. We also have here the Logi access. If I were to make some changes here, for example, I'll just add some. When you make changes here, there will also be a Logi sync button in production that you will click to sync the data over to the Logi application. And that's an important step. Not every time that you click on the save button will the information be sent to Logi. You actually have to specifically click on the button to send it over. So I just want to talk about with making that edit. Again, come in here, make any changes you want, and do save. So that takes us now to, we're going to do manage users. We have two different ways. The activation process, we can find the user, come here, and click delete. Are you sure? We say yes. We can also go in and edit the user account and click the status to delete. Now, this status of delete is a logical delete. It just pulls them out of the applications and workflow. It doesn't physically delete them from the system. So for example, if if this user left, had a new job, came back in 20 days, we would still be able to find their account by doing the this advanced search here, looking for a deleted account, and we could find them and make their account active again. So it is still in the system, and that's my point. Now I want to also talk to you about a very powerful tool. So if you said want a user list, you scroll down to the bottom of the page. There's a toggle wheel here, and you can start to generate a list in Excel. This is very close to the bulk load report that you're running today, and you can select which columns you would like to include. You can turn those on or off by selecting them here. And then when you're done, you can go ahead and click download table. And then this looks very much like the bulk load file. And just give me a moment. And it's opening up. And then, as you can see here, I just need to click on the enable editing. And it's going to give me the username, the user, the organization parameters that they have. Let's make it this. The list of approval profiles, when it was created, modified. These are all little toggles that were turned on before I generated the Excel file. So that is how to download this table. Come out of here. So today in closing, we talked about our plan, talked about all the resources that are available to you, including the email I'm going to send out after this meeting. We talked about what is changing, what is not changing. I went through the demo with you. Now I want to move on to questions. We've got plenty of time here, and I also want to close out with a closing statement to you. And I just want you to remember, we are here to help you. I'm here, Sherry's here, the account executives, we are all here to help you. I feel very confident that you are absolutely going to understand this. And this is going to be easy for you. It is much easier than what we have today. So with that being said, if you just give me one moment, let me get over here. Let me get my screen set up. Everything I've minimized. Let me see if I can. All right, great. We've got the chat. And now I have Windows open. Give me just a second.